Hi guys, this is Inigo again. I am doing a do-over about this field formatters and view modes. I just realized I didn't like how it came out. Like it's just really small fonts and whatnot. I'm gonna go over how do you take control or deeper control of your page layouts in Drupal, and specifically in the Drupal ecological information management system. Everything I'm gonna do is gonna involve clicking and showing you code and things like this. So let me share the screen. It's gonna be a little weird for a second, and then hopefully everything will be fine. So give me a sec. All right, so here we are. Most of what I'm gonna talk today in this broadcast is you can do probably in the UI or mostly in the UI with Drupal with this contributed module. It's called custom formatters, and what it does, it just allows you to create custom field formatters, which is a way on how do you want to show the field, how do you want it to be rendered in the UI in Drupal 7. Now, for what motivates this? Well, in Drupal 8, in Drupal 7, what motivates is our field formatters for the variables. As you probably know, if you are a Drupal a DEIMS user, you have a data sets that might look like this, right? So they might have an abstract up in the top, a title, an abstract, and might have a way to download the full data set or not. It might have a query page for the actual data, and also a little description of the variables that that are contained in the data set. So for these particular data, it's just called it provides a name of the glacier where the data was collected, a stake, and maybe some dates of the starting period and ending period of this data, right? So here I'm magnifying a little bit this so you can see it. This is the actual data, right? And it's captured in a snapshot in a CSV, in a comma delimited file. Okay, so this is the comma delimited file. And here are the definitions of those variables. So you have, for example, a glacier, and the definition is, well, it's the name of the glacier where the measurement was taken. And it's the variable, this variable is what we call a nominal type, and there are no missing values, or they are not specified. Now, we also define the start date, which interestingly enough is the beginning date of the data when the data was measured, and is the type date time, and this is the format month, date, year. Likewise, if there is other measurements like the total mass in terms of water equivalent, we define that and we specify the units, scientific units that have been used, as well as, if anything, the minimum value for this quantity and what precision it carries. So there is a lot of data, and it is nice that you have these collapsible tabs. This works very well in Chrome. In other browsers, this is produced by what is called the details HTML tag, and so that is not understood by Safari or by Firefox, and of course not Internet Explorer. And so in de facto, when you look at these data set, you might see something like this with Firefox, for example. And of course, if you have a mobile device, it just becomes a bit of a pain to see such a lot of info. And a lot of it is just not strictly necessary. So knowing that this is a nominal or a date, or is something that you're gonna infer as soon as you see the variable. So what motivates this is, well, I want to show something more reduced. I want to show something or a group of variables that doesn't have as much info. So in this case, for example, if the variable is just a nominal, a string type, or a textual based, well, let's just put the definition, and that's it. Like the name of the variable and the definition. And if it is a date, well, let's just define the date or the context of that date and the format used for that date. Likewise for physical measurables like quantity, quantities such as this. Well, you are going to need a scientific unit. Maybe it would be good to have other attributes as such the maximum and minimum. So that's the key. That's what motivates this. How do I get to define a new formatter that, in this case, shows me a reduced number of attributes for this one field, the variables fields, and its instances. So to do that, I'm going to show you a little bit of code. I'm going to start by the bottom. At the end of the Drupal rendering engine, there is a template, and in this case, the template that achieves this reduced number of variables is here. And in this TPL file, it's hosted in GitHub. I'm going to magnify a little bit, and as promised, as I hinted a little bit earlier, it is governed by the details group, which is only interpreted right by the Chrome browser at this point. And when it's collapsed, it only offers a summary, and it renders the name of the variable in this case, which is passed to this template. And when it's expanded, it's going to use the UL tag, so unenumerated list or unordered list, and is going to loop over the this object and render just the details, the label, and the contents of the values for the label, right? So that's pretty much what it does. Is this is a template that renders the engine for most browsers is just going to be this, the unordered list, so a list of all the details. So all I have to do really is, well, I can put some logic in here and say, well, when the detail is the type, just don't render it. But that would be kind of inefficient. You can do that, but it could be kind of inefficient because you carry all that information around all the Drupal render engine, and only at the very end you decide not to display it. Or so why not to cut that information a little upstream and save some, make it a little bit more clean. So for that, there are just a few hooks that you have to deal with in the Drupal API. And like I said, you might just want to use this contributed module, the custom formatters. But in what I'm going to show you is just the hooks that, or the actual instantiation that I did in here. So of course I annotate this in what we call the book of DEIMS that you can access through the project page. And but basically, what I want to do to display things like this is instantiate, first tell the Drupal system about a new field formatter. And for that, I just need to use a hook info field, right? So the field formatter info hook, right? And in that hook, what I'm going to create is a new entry in the variable that is going to return into the array that is going to be returned by the hook. And this would be the machine name. I call it mini summary of the DEIMS variable because it's going to be what I consider the minimum summary. So yeah, the label is going to be minimum summary, and it is only going to be relevant, this new field formatter, for this type of field that is defined as DEIMS variable, that is its machine name. Now the next thing I want to do is in the field formatter view hook field formatter view, what I am going to do when the case is that we are dealing with the newly defined DEIMS variable mini summary, I am going to pass to the theme the new formatter and the item array. And in the item array, in the theme array, what I do is give it the callback, the file where the information for this new formatter is stored, and the template that will use will render this field formatter. We'll have this field formatter available too, or the template associated with this field formatter. That's all. I'm telling the template, the theme, what is going to be available to it and where is it. So here is the information. I'm going to go to this now, to this file where I have a template preprocess function that is relevant to this new field formatter. And in it, instead of initiating or passing to the details array all the things that, all the possible attributes of this field, I just give it the definition and like a data summary. So the attributes relevant to a particular field type. So that's all you need really, is once you have done the preprocess function, the function template preprocess, and you have used these two hooks, you have your new field formatter, and which is much more reduced than before. It doesn't have all that info. And so when your template engine loops over the contents of this object or array, what it does is it only has a reduced set, only the type and the these attributes relevant to a particular field type that you're dealing with. And that's how you achieve what you want. Of course, you have to go to the, let's see where it is, to the UI. And in this case, the UI is here. And I'm going to show you what you would do in the UI. I'm going to go to the manage display of the content type. And here is my variables. That's the label of the DEIMS variable that I chose. And here is where I picked the formatter. So here is the format. And I had, before I had the summary with details that had every possible details associated with the each instance of the variable. But in here, I just decided to apply the minimum summary, which is just the definition and the relevant attributes. So for that's all I do. And of course, because this entity or this content type or this content type, this which is a type of entity, is rendered within other content type, what I can do is also show you that in the dataset content type, which renders the data source content type right here, which is here. What I do is I tell in the display, in the managed display, in the default in this case, I say the data sources you're going to render in the header section, and you're going to render the whole entity using the a view mode. In this case is the teaser, but what you really want to do is render as the mini data source view mode. So that's kind of how it goes. Let me see if I see that again. So this is the minimum summary, and then in the managed display of the data set, I expected to see render entity not as teaser, but as a what's it called? Where is it? So I'm supposed to have the mini data source view mode, which will render with just that the reduced set of variables. So that you do that by I'm doing this using display suite, but it's basically most of the functionality of the view modes is stored in Drupal core. You don't really need view display suite. It's just display suite gives you the GUI, and it also, for example, allows me for data sets like this. This is a modeling data set, and it's a 2-dimensional data, so it doesn't really conform to a spreadsheet type. It's a bit more complex than that, with 2D geometries that are not like a square or a rectangle. So they are not really well handled by spreadsheets. So basically, besides they are quite large. So I have, for example, I model, well, not me, but my colleague models the temperature of the air in the Taylor valleys year after year using DEIMS and little modeling. And the resulting for each year, the files might span once compressed 375 megabytes. But you cannot talk about variables. I mean, there are variables embedded in it, but it cannot be described with tabular nature. So what I've done here is I have defined a new view mode that is called mini data source. And all it does is it renders the file to download and the description of the file. So it just kind of ignores all other fields, because all I really want to know in this case is how these what is the definition of the file and the actual link to the file. The rest is something that you will figure out. So that's kind of the other trick, right? And how you choose these particular view mode, you do that with Display Suite Extras. And what it is at the if you enable that functionality, like apply a view mode per node, at the very bottom in here you can specify in display settings, specify which view mode you want to apply for this particular node. So in this case, for this modeling data set, instead of using the default view mode that has linkages to the data explorer, to the variables and all that, I said, you know what, only show me the very minimum, which is the mini data source mode that I defined and the way I show you. So these are a couple of tricks that I wanted to show you about how to take control of your UI. And with that, I'm going to let you go and enjoy the day. So if you have any comments, just please send them my way, or just if you want to read further, check out the documentation of the DEIMS profile. Specifically, we have 148 pages of screenshots and explanations. Most of it is already explained well in the Drupal forums, but we just tailor a little bit to the Drupal ecological information management system, that Drupal profile. All right, guys, bye.